little bit there. Okay, so Ant-Man and the Wasp. This movie, after seeing Black Panther and Avengers Infinity War, which are such dense and very kind of explorative superhero films that deal with much heavier concepts and have much greater stakes on the line. It's refreshing right now to come back to something as adorable as Ant-Man and the Wasp. I mean, that's the best way I would describe this film. This film is it's freaking adorable. It's adorable. Yeah. It is getting back to the old Marvel formula of the whole deal. They gotta fight a new villain, gotta fight, gotta throw on the suit, gotta have your action scene, gotta have the theatrics, and yeah, it's not really building on anything all that grand that the last film didn't have. Like it's still very much about like the same principles. Scott is still all about his daughter. But first, the film does this weird thing where it kind of has to explain away why Ant-Man was involved in Captain America: Civil War. Because you remember, he just kind of showed up just because Captain America asked him, and just threw on the suit, and then I guess he just went into it. And as you can imagine, Michael Douglas's character of Hank Pym, he is pissed that he did this with his suit. So he's not on good ground right there. So to pick up from where I last left off, Ant-Man was taken into custody. He can't put on the Ant-Man suit anymore. He's broken all ties with Hank Pym, who's considered a criminal now for having the Ant-Man technology, and everything after the Sokovia Accords. Everyone is on total lockdown, but so it's working okay for Scott. He's not in the prison cell anymore. He's under house arrest. He still gets to see his daughter. He still gets to be a nice dad. He's got a thriving business now with his partner in crime, played by Michael Pena, who still is saying. I mean, he's done away with the whole crime aspect, but he's still got that kind of that kind of Edgar Wright style, like manner of talking like that. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that remains present here that's familiar, and they do really force home the whole family aspect a lot more, and I think that works to the film's benefit. I mean, yeah, the villain that they're facing here is called the Ghost, who's essentially a woman who had like quantum science come out with quantum science get infected with a bad case of the quantum science. So now she starts like phasing in and out of reality, and she's not quite there. She's kind of sort of a ghost. She can't quite get a hold of her powers, and so she wants the tech that Hank Pym has to kind of open this door into like the quantum realm, or whatever you want to call it, the little microcosm that he lost his wife in years ago. She thinks that this can save her. But at the same time, Hank needs it because he wants to go save his wife in this realm. Because he figured, oh, well, if Scott could go into that dimension, well, my wife did. Why can't I bring her back? If Scott went in there. So yeah, it's this mad dash of trying to get to into this tiny universe to build this portal. And you have all these competing forces for it. You have Ghost trying to get it because she's got the phasing problem. You have Lawrence Fishburne playing a competing doctor who's really got an axe to grind with Hank Pym. You have, you have the FBI is still after them. You have this cute little FBI agent who's always one step behind there, gets in some funny lines, and you also have. Oh, I completely forgot. You also have Walton Goggins here, just gogging it up. I mean, if you've seen him on Justified and stuff like that, he's such a fun villain here, and he's a secondary villain, but he has fun with his role. I mean, he's just kind of this weapons dealer who can't really do much except brandish some guns and point the FBI in the right direction, and he tries to weasel his way out of everything, but he's so much fun in the role. And pretty much everyone here is pretty fun. In what they're doing here, the entire cast looks like they're having a ball. I love how every character seems well rounded, where it's not easily resolved with just killing the villain. That they really wrap in the aspect of family, and of course you have Evangeline Lilly now joining the fight as the Wasp, and she is. You get the feeling like she might play a huge role in this, but she kind of. It's sad to report that she's kind of like the supporting role that she was in the first film. I mean, yeah, she gets to kick butt more. She gets to have like a lot of more cool scenes where she's got to run across knives there. She has blasters, so she can grow and shrink stuff at will, which leads to some really cool fight scenes. but it feels like she's kind of held back from what she can do in the. It seems like most of the time she's just kind of just thrown into like fight scenes just because like to give her something to do. When you feel like there's more she could be doing with the plot of trying to get her mom back, because that does play a huge role in the film. This aspect of trying to keep family together and trying to trying to bring everyone back and not use like death as an easy means to resolve situations like this. And I really love how it plays out. It feels very old fashioned. I mean, Paul Rudd is still a lot of fun to watch as Ant-Man. He gets in a lot of funny lines here. Probably my favorite scene is there's a scene where he's being held captive and his smartphone just keeps going off, and it's his daughter wanting to FaceTime with him, and he manages to convince the villain to like can I talk with her? Can I just talk with her? And he's not gonna like try to call for help or anything. Like, you know, he knows the drill. He's just kind of like, yeah, you know, kids come first, you know. So it really does hammer home the family aspect. I do like the fact that Scott's kid is not just kind of like a picture in the background. Like they didn't just like completely shove her to the side. She does play a pretty big role in the film in terms of his inspiration. She doesn't play as big a role as she did in the first film, when she was at the climax. But but I love the fact that she does kind of like nail home the point of like, you know, what's important and how, you know, you don't have to be, you know, you can make mistakes as a hero, but you still got to try and you still got to do what you can for your family. And yeah, like I said, it's a lot of the same aspects from the first film, but they keep driving it home. But honestly, it's fine. I think it's a little bit more well-rounded. You do have some fun stuff here. There's a great car chase where stuff goes in and out, of expanding and exploding. You have some great, like that great scene with like the building kind of shrinking down and then they can pull it up. They have a lot of fun of like tossing that back and forth. You get more ant theatrics. You get, of course, Ant-Man expanding. You have all that crazy crap happening. So yeah, it manages to be a lot of fun. The only problem is that there's so much stuff happening that you don't get to enjoy it. That you don't get to enjoy these like deeper aspects as much as you'd like to. Hey King Triton, how you doing this evening? We're talking a little about Ant-Man and the Wasp right now. So where was? Oh yeah, so yeah, there's so much going on in this film, and it is fun. There's a lot of fun stuff. I love the use of like the growing and shrinking, the depth of field focus. Oh, I gotta mention this too. The screening we were at, we did a IMAX 3D screening. I think it was IMAX 3D. And usually I hate 3D because usually it always gets botched and there's really no point to it. Ant-Man Ant-Man and the Wasp really benefits from 3D, like more than anything. I don't know. It's fine, King Triton. That's fine. It's Twitch, so obviously we got to be a little bit interactive here. But yeah, what's so great about like the 3D is that it works so well here because you have this major shift in depth of field and these long shots that go in and out of like when Evangeline Lilly is scaling the knife and stuff like that. There's so many fun little aspects in here that are just, I don't want to say like they're made for 3D because they used to do this back in the day where they would make 3D films and they would just have that moment where stuff would come towards you at the screen like that, which is kind of happening here, but it never feels like out of place. Like you would be able to watch this not in 3D and think, oh, that's still a pretty cool scene, without like the whole depth of field going in and out there. So yeah, it's very fun to watch. It's just as fast as the first film without question. Oh, let me switch that back there. So yeah, I really enjoyed the film on, at least from like the action perspective. I think on the whole aspect of like character and family, I think like it has a problem that a lot of sequels do where they add in so much stuff going on that we really don't get much into them. Like we really don't get that deep into Evangeline Lilly's character of Hank Pym's daughter, because you'd think that she'd have a bigger role to play, especially since she's in the title of the film. That I thought she'd play a bigger role in trying to get her mom back, who's played by Michelle Pfeiffer, which always fun to see Michelle Pfeiffer back on the screen. And she has a lot of fun in this too as well. So yeah, and like I said, like, there's a lot of great scenes here that work, but they're all piled on top of each other. Like, there's a whole subplot about Michael Pena starting up the security firm business and how they're kind of like in the red, but he doesn't want to tell his employees. He's trying to make that work. There's Scott trying to work things out with his daughter. There's 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 Ghost trying to work stuff out. There's Lawrence Fishburne's character, the professor, trying to work stuff out. There's so much going on, and like, I don't know, like, I felt like there should have been more of the Wasp in here for her being in the title. I was hoping that, because there's a scene where close to the end where Hank Pym has basically go into like the Fantastic Voyage type film, where he has to get into this kind of like submarine thing and go into like the subatomic universe to find his wife. And I thought, like, okay, this would be a great time to bring the Wasp in, to have her come in there and save both mom and dad from the subatomic universe while crazy crap is going on outside and Hank Pym has to deal with it. That doesn't quite happen, and I feel like there's a few missed opportunities there, and it does lead. And like I said, like, there's so much fast stuff happening here, and it is fun. But again, they do glaze over a few aspects here where you start to question things you shouldn't. Like, somehow Michael Pena not only becomes used to like the expanding and shrinking cars, that he knows how, not only how to do it, but also how to drive when shrunk, which that that just kind of like threw me, because they want to have like these tiny cars like kind of make huge jumps and go over gravel and like narrowly avoid all this debris and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, man, that require a lot of precision and work just to maneuver like that. But again, that's one of the things you don't got to question too much, because the film, it is light, it is comedic, it is breezy. It does have one beautiful cameo by Tim Heidecker, which you might remember in the first Ant-Man film. They had I forgot his name, but the guy who plays Neil Hamburger, who is on that Adult Swim movie show with Tim Heidecker. So I'm sure there's an episode I got to watch of that now. But yeah, and again, like, then you start questioning more stuff, like, how is it, like, Hank mentions that, oh, I slept for like 3 days after I went giant, and yet he goes giant again, and it seems like he's become used to it, because he's not asleep for 3 days. But yeah, it's pleasing. Like I said, it's more like a counterbalance to the denser stuff of like Black Panther and Avengers Infinity War, where it just kind of feels like a summer break. It's very much in the same league of like Spider-Man Homecoming, where it's just this kind of like light and fluffy little superhero film before we get back into the deeper and darker and denser stuff. Now, if you haven't seen the film, I'm sure you're probably wondering, how does this tie into Infinity War? Like, what time does it take place? Well, yes, it does take place before the events of Infinity War, if that's a spoiler or anything. And yes, that one moment where everyone starts this thing appearing does happen, but it catches you off guard. I'll say this, it does catch you off guard, and it does make me more excited with what's going to happen in the next Avengers film, especially with Ant-Man. So, wow, I mean, I'm a little bit conflicted, because I want this to be like a great film, because I love the characters here, I love the special effects, but it's still got a little bit of that sequelitis problem. It's still got just a few too many characters and just a few too many things going on, despite how much I love it all. Because I love Walton Goggins, and I love Lawrence Fishburne, and I love Ghost, and I love all these different little aspects in the film. But do they gotta compete. And as a result, a lot of stuff has gotta shrink, and some of it gets blown up, and some of it goes nowhere, and some of it just kind of lingers in the background. It's a lot of fun if you don't think too much about it. It's kind of typical summer affair. Is it the best Marvel film? No, it's not up there. Is it on par with Ant-Man? Oh, sure. Yeah, there's actually quite a lot that I think improves from the first Ant-Man film. If not, then it's at least on par with it. So yeah, it's a refreshing Marvel film. And we kind of need that after two huge blockbusters like Black Panther and Infinity War, which had deep stories of pathos and murder and destiny, and like the universe being on the line. Here's just a pleasing little heist story where stuff shrinks and stuff grows. So